feature presentation.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Focus Testing, a movie about movies where we make up a movie. And today I'm joined by comedian, among other things, Josh Gondelman.
Hey,
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good.
It's been a bad news week, unfortunately,
No
but
kidding.
in the small picture,
Mhm.
I feel very fortunate.
I would imagine so, because you just had your first comedy special come out, right?
I did, yeah. Tuesday, my special People Pleaser
Mhm.
became available on, all the VOD platforms where you can rent and purchase stuff. So like YouTube and Apple TV, all the places, Vimeo, all the places that you rent a little hour-long thing to watch and enjoy in your home.
I will say this. I promise by the time this episode comes out, I will have watched it in its entirety. But I haven't seen it yet. But how do you feel about it?
I'm really thrilled. It's
Yeah?
like it's been something I've been wanting to do for a long time, so it was really exciting to have the opportunity. And there's like a lot of stuff that's on that I have never recorded anywhere, and then there's a couple bits that are like from previous albums that I'm like,
Mm.
"Oh, I think this is a new way to show people a few bits over the years that I'm really proud of." And so I think it like is a really nice way for people who like may know me from other things for like or have seen me live around the city or around the country, who have heard me on Wait Don't Tell Me, or watch shows I write for, to be like, oh, I'm gonna jump in and see what his stand-up is like. And that's, I feel very excited to like present that to people, and I hope they enjoy it.
I'm glad. Yeah, I've watched the trailer several times. Give me credit there. I've seen the trailer for the special a few times, so I'm doing my best.
I have no. This isn't me. I didn't want you to come here to browbeat you into watching these specials.
It's
That's
completely
your,
on me.
Your listeners, though, must watch.
Absolutely. If anything, I hold my listeners, all three of them, to a higher standard to myself.
Absolutely. That's how I feel about all audiences. I would like them to be better than me, but I reserve the right to yell at them to do that.
Yes, 100%. So do you remember the first movie you saw in the theater?
I I have a hunch, but I'm gonna look it up online and see if it could possibly be right. Um,
Okay.
Hold on.
Little
I think it
sleuthing.
was. Okay, yeah. I think it was Ghostbusters 2.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. So which came out in 1989,
Hmm.
and I was born in 1985. And I think Ghostbusters 2, I had not seen Ghostbusters 1 because I was a child,
Yeah.
but I like the cartoons, the Ghostbusters cartoons. Ghostbusters 2, the film, substantially scarier than the first film and the cartoon shows. So I was terrified of it. Like I remember being like it being very thrilling, and I'd seen movies before, so I knew like what a movie was. I was like, well, the unsettling true story of the Ghostbusters. But I did see the movie and come home, and I remember my dad took me to the movie and was like, well, you're 4, so it's nap time. And I remember lying in bed being like, this is too messed up. Like I can't believe that I saw this. I'm never gonna stop thinking about this.
That's fantastic. So you got the opposite experience that the film wants, is because you became afraid of no ghosts, you know?
Yes. Well, look, I don't know. Now, not to split hairs, the
Okay.
Ghostbusters ain't afraid of no ghosts. But
Mm.
I think they would want the public to feel a healthy fear of the supernatural.
Because otherwise they'd go out of business.
They go out of business. Right. Obviously, it's fear mongering as a promotional tool. But in addition, I think that from a scientific standpoint, in
Hmm.
the way that like humans should have a keep a respectful distance from, say, sharks, I think that's how they would want us to feel about ghosts.
Yes.
Is like we should not provoke them. We should understand their power. I think that's what I imagine the kind of feeling the Ghostbusters would have.
I love that, like, we should understand their power, which is
Yeah.
very, yeah, it's like, super, like, what is it, like super Mother Nature? If it's supernatural, is that
Yeah,
anything?
yes, Mother Supernature.
Sure, yep, Mother Supernature.
Because I do think, right? I think that, like, first of all, most of the ghosts in Ghostbusters, I feel like, are getting busted. They don't really showcase ghosts that are just like chilling, and I
Yeah.
think that that's unfair. Because I bet there are some ghosts that, even if they have unfinished business, they're not making it my problem. They're just kind of
Yeah.
working on themselves. And so I think Ghostbusters. Yeah, I think they would want the public to be afraid of ghosts. That I stand by. I stand by
Mhm.
my annoyingly pedantic reading of that.
I found nothing but joy in your
Thank
pedantic
you.
reading. So, but yeah, that's exactly the kind of skepticism and thought that I want you to bring to the rest of this show when
Okay,
I
perfect.
start asking what I call movie trivia questions. And,
Okay.
it's the loose interpretation of that. And this is, I always start with this one, which is, what is movie?
What is movie?
Yeah, what
Okay.
is movie?
So we got move, right? That's right in there.
Okay, yep.
So it's like an image that is in motion.
Mm-mm.
And then we got E. So it's like, E, ooh, that's delightful. So it's like an image in motion designed to entertain or captivate, at least.
Mm.
Even if it's not, some documentaries are more for edifying, but I think they all want to hold your attention.
That makes sense. Yeah, I like that. E as in like
Like,
yeah, childish glee.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. Going down a slide. The famous Mitch Hedberg joke about we, but just
Yes.
the joke being, when you're having fun, you invoke yourself and some other people. Wee. Plural.
Yes. So next trivia question. What movie makes you the horniest?
Oh, that's a good question.
Thank you. I work very hard on these.
What movie makes me the horniest?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like this. I mean, like, does pornography count?
I would say excluding
Excluding pornography.
pornography.
But, okay.
Because, like, yes, of course, we've all seen Pirates or whatever.
Well, I don't. It's not something I track. I'm not
Huh.
like, well, better write this down in my notebook. This is kind of I hit a new bar for horniness while watching this film.
Let me go to letterbox.com.
Yeah. My stars are a horniness ranking on Letterboxd. It's how horny did this movie make me on a scale of. Can you give something a 0 on Letterboxd? I don't actually have any.
You can like give a half a star as the lowest rating, or
Okay.
you can not rate it.
Sure. Oh, so you can
Yeah.
give a review but not rate?
Yeah, I'd just be like,
an incomplete. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think this is a movie.
try again
That's
with
kind
revisions.
of how I felt about Cats when I saw that. I was like, this is like not really a movie. Like it did
Okay.
move,
It did move, and
but it didn't do the other part.
it didn't go
Like
E.
there's no E to it. Like it was not captivating in any way. I was also, I'm not like a big weed person, but I got pretty high and was watching it with my wife, and I had like a little 2 triangles from this weed chocolate bar that I got.
Toblerone.
Toblerone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just actually a regular Toblerone, but like I just like those things just send me to
Yep.
heaven.
Get stoned. Is that anything?
Stone.
Yeah.
I bet that exists.
I
bet,
hope
like,
it does. If not, you're
I
welcome.
feel like we're gonna get to that point because they're all the not all. There is like a variety of edibles that is like parody candy.
Really?
Yeah, like
Huh.
like there's a place. I don't want to like blow up this place's spot because I don't think they legally exist. But there's a storefront that I know of in somewhere in New York City
Okay.
where they'll just like, it's like, oh, this is a tobacco shop, but as soon as you walk in, they're like, would you like to buy marijuana? And they like truly, like, I guess maybe I don't have a cop face. They're just like,
Resting
guy,
cop
he's
face.
too soft. He wouldn't last a minute on the force or whatever. Or too principled. But they'll just be like, do you want weed? And you'll be like,
Hell yeah.
and then the options, there's like, it'll be like a takeoff or the exact branding of like Airheads, but it'll be called like gas heads, which was one
Hell
that I
yeah.
saw, or like stuff like that. So it'll be
Hmm.
like it's like like for porn parody, they
Yeah,
do
yeah.
weed parody.
But you were watching Cats with your wife stoned.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I
No
derailed
need.
myself.
Yeah,
And
it's fine.
I kept yelling. Um, I
You
was
don't.
like, I know what words they're saying, but can you turn up what they mean? Can you turn up the meaning of the words, the volume of the meaning of? I hear the individual words.
What if?
So I will say my take on cats might be in
Oh,
part circumstantial.
can I tell you that is a beautiful concept? Can you raise the volume of the meaning of the words? Ugh.
I truly feel like again, because I'm not a big weed person, and
Hmm.
this is like the first one of the first times I was ever like really stoned, if not the first time, and that feels like such a unique and iconic high thought
Yeah.
that I was like, oh, I really got my money's worth on
Yeah.
this little chocolate bar that I got to
Absolutely.
have like truly not a thought I would ever have sober. And it was just like one attempt, one brand new bananas thought.
Perfect. Ugh, you love to see it.
I know. That was it. I didn't enjoy the sensation necessarily, but I was like, wow, I really came out of that night with something new having happened to me.
Which is, beautiful in its own way. And
Because my drunk thoughts are always just like they should make a pizza place that's already inside my apartment so that when I order the pizza it's just right there.
now, Josh, I want to introduce you to a concept that you may not be familiar with, which is a frozen pizza.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's DiGiorno.
Yep. No, you're right. It's not, you're saying it's not delivery, it's DiGiorno.
That is
What I should
exactly
be
what I'm
exploring.
saying, yes.
Okay.
Exclusively. So,
Exclusively.
so you don't remember what movie makes you the horniest, but do you remember
Yes.
the first time you got horny during a movie?
I remember again very young feeling like a
Ghostbusters
crush.
2.
Not yeah, Ghostbusters. It was just like that's what I was afraid of. I was afraid of how horny I was. When I got home, I was 4, and I was just like, "What is this feeling?" But I remember being like attracted to like some female duck character on DuckTales. I remember being like,
Yeah.
he's cute. I bet we'd get along.
Yeah.
And that's not like a lifelong theme. You know, it's not like, oh, and I what I like in a lady is like a long neck and kind of skinny legs and like a body that's mostly butt. That's,
You know what? That might be my ideal type though. Now that you've described it in that way, I
Yeah.
might like I like a person that walks like Roger the alien from American Dad. That's someone body.
yeah, that's kind of a sensuous movement. That's a
Ab-
movie, I'll tell you what.
What's a film that most people don't remember but you would like them to?
Ooh, okay. I don't do that many. I don't have that many deep cut movies, but I
Mm-hmm.
will say, um, a kind of underratedly like fun watch that's pretty goofy is the movie Next with Nicolas Cage, which is like
Ooh.
people don't talk about it that much in the Cage canon. I don't. I'm sure like people who think a lot about movies know about it, but like I think most people when you think about like big Nicolas Cage performances don't think about this one. And he plays. It came out in like '07 maybe. He
Mm-hmm.
plays a Vegas magician named Frank Cadillac, and
Perfect.
he actually has the power to see 2 minutes into the future. And Julianne Moore, who is like on the cusp of like graduating from this kind of movie, plays the FBI agent who's like, you need to work for the government.
Oh, that sounds like it rules. And thank you.
You're welcome. It's not quite bad per minute at the level of like The Room where you're like every
Hmm.
decision, but it is like very silly.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like I like really crave not like movies that are like fast paced and like actiony but not super gritty. Like I was thinking
Mm-hmm.
this morning about how much I loved the era of Jason Statham that was like The Transporter and
Yeah.
Crank, just those like mid concept action movies that I feel like, excuse me, we don't make that many anymore because the action mid budget movies I think are fewer and further between. And then the big action movies are largely Fast and Furious. So shout out to Statham, and then like superhero stuff. I miss that
Hmm.
mid budget of that's like we have like a premise and it looks good and it doesn't make a ton of sense. John Wick, I think, is the closest recent example that really popped. Um, and I like that where it's not like gritty, realistic violence, but it's just like, as my dad would say, a lot of good beaten up,
I'm
which is
with you.
an expression that I stole from him and use frequently.
A lot of good beating them up.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I have two more questions for you, and then we'll get to the game part of
Okay.
the show. First question is, if you had to pick an animal to ratatouille you
Oh
into
yeah.
success, what animal would you want?
Okay.
Like an animal companion that would lead to your success, your professionally.
I
I
feel like an octopus is like a smart animal, and I feel like it would be funny to have. Here's the other thing:
mm,
I don't have a head of hair that could hide an
mm,
animal, even a rat. So if it was like one that I had to just like have kind of
mm,
on my head at all times,
mm-hmm.
making me do it would have to be very small. It would have to be like a dust mite or um just something that people wouldn't notice and be like, yuck, that's there's something on your head. Or even so like or if it was something that had to be disguised by a hat, I would
Yeah.
have to start wearing bigger hats. They'd be like, Josh is really in his slash era, and
Yeah.
his comedy has gotten a lot more cerebral. As just like octopus dampness dribbles down my face. Like he got sweaty, but he's good now.
Oh, that's a very good concept. Oh. And finally, the question I ask every single one of my guests here is, why is Austin Powers so sexy?
It's his confidence.
It's the confidence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the confidence. I mean, he's pretty stylish. He's a success. He has a successful job, but he's not especially handsome. I don't think he's not especially good at his job. Like it's not a hyper competence. You
Hmm.
think he is?
No, no, I hadn't thought of it that way, but no, he's not very good at his job, is he?
No, no.
He'll
Much
he
like Inspector Gadget, a weird choice for like preserving for posterity with his skill set. You know what I mean? Like Inspector Gadget, they gave him all the things, and they're like, oh, and now he's our super cop, and it's like that guy. Like
yeah.
okay,
The guy that
and
has
this
to
is
shout what he's about to do.
yes, yeah, 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 and the guy who's like niece does most of his job for oh similarly that and apologies if someone does a bit like that, but it's something that's been in my head for a long time as well. But Austin Powers is similar in that he's like not the best international man of mystery, I don't think, but it's his he's got this confidence and a bravado that I think is very appealing, that even if
Mm.
you're not in good hands, he makes you feel like he's in control of a situation.
For sure, for sure. White men love to fail up. They
I
love to
think
fail.
that's I mean, I think that is the story, right? It's he's and you see it when he comes into the late 90s and he's having this culture clash where he's his immense white cis hetero white male privilege is I think the crux of the movie. And he's
Yeah.
just like he existed well in his era. No one, and even in the era when he came back, really the vocabulary for like checking one's privilege was not as widespread, so he
Hmm.
just lived a life of largely unchecked privilege, which, while it's bad for society for people to do that, must have felt amazing to him
Yes.
to never have to examine the roots of your uh, unjustified success.
Yeah, 100%. If only, if only I could go back to such a time. No.
Yes.
Do you think we needed an Austin Powers movie, a new one? Do you think?
I don't know. It's Um, this is tough for me because I I loved the first two Austin Powers movies. No offense
Yeah.
to Beyonce, star of the third Austin Powers movie, a
Hmm.
star of the third Austin Powers movie. I but Mike Myers'
Mm.
output in the couple of decades since then has not blown me away to the extent of his previous films. And so I'm worried that another Austin Powers movie would not I would be so excited, and then I would be like, oh, maybe we should just leave this in the past and enjoy what we have. So I think if we could have another Austin Powers movie of the caliber of definitely one and maybe even two, I'd be all for it. But I just think that like that's like wishing for like we have Four Loko, but it's not Four Loko. And this would be Austin Powers Four Loko new recipe.
Yeah, and that's the title of the film as well.
Yes. I think that's important. You know.
Absolutely. All right, so I have a random word generator up, and so we're going to cooperatively come up with a film based off of the random word that I have, which is redundancy.
Okay. This is great.
Yes.
I immediately know what this movie is. And
Okay.
I would like, obviously I'm not going to steal all the focus. This is a collaborative endeavor. Here's my pitch to you.
Okay.
The Bourne redundancy. What we know is that we know there's a Jason Bourne. What this movie posits is there are several Jasons Bourne as fail-safe mechanisms against a tragedy befalling the original Jason Bourne, and so and they are being deployed accidentally, right? Because he kind of gets activated, and he has to go around the globe, taking out of commission the other. The newly activated Jason's Bourne.
I love that as a premise.
I don't know if that is already the premise of the one with Jeremy Renner. Who can say?
No one's seen it. No
one's seen it.
Yeah, no one knows. It's Schrodinger's Bourne. Now, I love this idea. Now, my follow-up question is, are all the Jasons Bourne played by Matt Damon, or do we get like different...
I'm open to... either. I'm open to Matt Damon fighting several Matts Damon. I am also open to it being like him not knowing what to look for in other Jason's Bourne, and they all know he's coming for them, right? So we've got a Jason Bourne that is like we've got Ben Affleck. That would be such a fucking crowd pleaser.
Oh yeah,
Matt Damon fighting Ben Affleck, and they're both Jason Bourne. Get out of here. We got an Idris Elba.
Yes, also thought of that immediately.
Michelle Yeoh, but then they team up.
Exactly.
Eventually. Yeah.
I think that's perfect, and I think
maybe they all team up. Maybe instead of killing them, they form they turn against whatever institution is doing this. So Idris Elba and Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. Maybe he kills Ben Affleck because that would be pretty funny.
I think that'd be very funny.
In the movie.
And he
Not
would
in real
say,
life.
in the movie, and then he'd say, "How do you like them apples?" And then
He'd say, "How do you like them apples?"
And then everyone would go, "Ah!"
And then people were like, "He was born to die." But yeah, I think so. There's all these Jasons Bourne all over the world, and initially he's like, "Oh, what I have to do is destroy the other Jasons." But what he ends up doing is realizing that they are all being manipulated and they're being used in some part of greater scheme, a nefarious scheme, and they team up. And so it's like in Ocean's 11, because one of my favorite things is like a getting the gang together montage.
Yes.
So this turns from Kill Bill into Ocean's 11. Like you think you're into it, you're in for a Kill Bill, and then you're like, oh, this is not about one by one vengeance being unleashed. This is about we're forming the Blues Brothers of international super spies, and we're getting them together.
And now here's the thing, tying it to what we were just talking about. Can one of them be Mike Myers as Austin's Power?
I think that's probably true.
Yeah.
I mean, so he's Austin Power. Yeah.
Or Jason's
he's
Bourne.
One of the he's a Jason
But
Bourne.
He's clearly Austin Powers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. He's the Jason Bourne. He's like, do I make you Bonnie, baby?
Oh, that's very good. Oh, you got me, Josh. You got me with that one.
Happy to get you.
Yep. Uh, I
I'm
love
not
that
proud of
idea.
that, but I am happy with it. That's
Yeah.
a feeling I've had a lot lately.
That's fair. That I see. Whereas I only feel the opposite. I'm constantly proud of what I'm doing, but I'm not happy with it
Oh,
at all.
interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'm
I,
a Protestant, is
I'm
what it
easily
is.
satisfied, easily shamed.
So I like all of this. Is it like the FBI, CIA? Is it American or is it a global cabal?
Okay, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
I like thematically
Mm-hmm.
the idea of, I think this is kind of an um under unsung theme in a lot of
Mm.
movies, right? Because I think there's a lot of movies that are like America versus whoever, right?
Yeah.
Like the American spy is against some other government. But I think an interesting theme for this movie would be like he thinks that these Jason's Bourne have been taken over and co-opted by a kind of an international cabal.
Mm-hmm.
But it is the American government that has orchestrated this as like a not like as it is like a military industrial complex type subterfuge where
Mm-hmm.
like what they're trying to do is start an international incident.
Mm-hmm. So they're justified in invading certain.
Exactly. Or
Okay.
right, or so that they're like, oh, we have to sanction this government even if it's not an
Mm-hmm.
invasion because they're doing this kind of espionage against us. And
Ooh.
yeah,
Sorry, you froze on my end. And you're back.
I was just saying, right, it could be a justification for war or even just like ratcheting up sanctions against a foreign government under the auspice of like, oh, they
Mm-hmm.
were performing this espionage against us and we have to retaliate somehow. And then it's just an excuse to like, if it's not go to war, like to hoard resources.
I think that's very good. I think that's a great third act twist. That it's the call is coming from inside the house, and the call is coming from
Yeah,
inside the White House. So I feel
there it
like,
is.
yep.
Yep. Yep.
I think now, what do you think about this? They get to like the little literal White House, and we get to the president, and it is Jason Bourne.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think that the president being a Jason Bourne, who
Hmm.
because you get to the president and you're like, Madam, it's a much more progressive kind of cabal.
Of course.
Sir or Madam, who's to say? Who cares the gender of the
Yeah,
president
yeah.
in this movie? It's a president,
Yeah.
and they say, the Jason Bourne is like, all the Jason Bournes are like, we've got this shit goes all the way to the top. We think that the Pentagon is compromised, and then the president just starts fighting them. Like,
Yes.
holy shit.
Fucking rules. And I like the idea of like the president is facing away
Yeah. Yes.
and then they turn and it's again Matt Damon.
Oh, that would be pretty cool. So like they're all different Bournes except for the president who is identical to Matt Damon.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's very cool. That's very
Yeah.
cool.
And then, you have a CGI fight with Matt Damon versus Matt Damon. Is this anything Jason Bourne It's like a horror.
Oh yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
yeah,
a
yeah.
sub
I mean,
idea.
I think right. I think maybe there's like a brief encounter, right? When
Mm-hmm.
they're in where is Camp Crystal Lake? I wanted to say
I don't
Maine,
know.
but
I
I don't know
can.
that that's true. It feels very Maine-ish.
It does. And if not, it's Stephen King's fault that we think it is.
Yes, I think that's true. Even though Friday the 13th, not Stephen King, but it feels like when you're like, oh, a murder guy in the woods, that's Stephen King, baby.
Absolutely.
That's Maine. That's what happens in Maine. But and also apologies to people if this is a plot of an existing Jason Bourne movie. I have not seen all of them. I do not know if this is the case already.
Yeah, I agree. I also feel like the first one he has to go, and he does decommission him, has to be Jeremy Renner, right? We have to like acknowledge that and get out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Affleck lives, Renner dies.
Yeah.
'Cause Matt Damon and Ben Affleck as two Bournes. I think two Bournes. That's the name of the movie.
Two Bournes.
And they and them kicking ass together for a little while. God,
Yep.
people would love it.
I think so too. I think we got a real winner.
I think this is a hot one.
Yeah. So to wrap things up, I want to do a couple lightning rounds. So we get the same word. We each do a quick pitch for each word, right? Okay. So Fill is the word. Do you want me to go first, or would you like to?
You
Um,
go first, please.
okay, Phil is about it's about a guy who works at a dump and he uncovers a mystery of corruption in his local government in a small town in Nebraska.
Oh, that's good.
Thank you.
That's good. Um, this is my fill is about a gas station employee,
Mm.
and it is like kind of a like a boyhood type verite about the diminishing dependence on fossil fuels combined with high increasing gas prices, and it's like kind of a slow burning, very small story.
Slow burning, pun intended, clean burning.
It becomes more clean burning.
Yep. The next one is Incredible.
Okay.
So I think this one is about it's a musical comedy about a lawyer who is found out that they are making up evidence in a court case.
Oh, very good. Like a shattered glass.
I will say yes, and
Okay.
I've seen that film. I've never seen. No idea what
Okay.
you mean.
This is like a romantic comedy about the Incredible Hulk.
Perfect.
Yeah. The Incredible Hulk like looking for love in all the wrong places. Go and then when the sad piano music leaving town, that's when he got dumped.
Is it Hulk want to smash? Is that what it is?
Yeah, Hulk's trying to smash.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Thank you. The next one is Gravel. Um, in a sequel to Phil, the guy has the same, after having figured out the corruption of the government, he's had to move town, and now he works as someone who works as pavement, and then he goes from town to town now. So he's been hired by the government to now root out corruption of small towns because they clearly have nothing better to do. And
Okay.
yeah, now he's in Iowa doing the same thing, but with gravel.
Okay, this is a story about a blue chip basketball prospect who played until high school exclusively in his gravel driveway in like the rural town where he grew up. So his like ball handling is really funky because he's used to like the ball caroming at weird angles. So he's got all these shifty moves, the real shifty handle. And the other you know what? I feel like we've done too many of these with too many dude centric movies.
Oh, sure.
It's a young woman, and it's her, and they call her Gravel, and she's tough, and she's got that kind of like gravelly shiftiness to her. And I think like her, and it's like her rise to athletic prominence.
That is very good. I like that a lot. Now, the next one is Soprano. So the temptation obviously is like, okay, it's Tony Soprano, right?
Okay, so it's Newark. There's many saints, not just one.
It's a bunch. It's a bunch of them.
Like a shitload of saints.
Oops, All Saints. Oops, All Saints Day. Yeah. I think Soprano would be about. I mean, I think it's similar to what you were saying about like a young woman who is trying to make it in the. Sorry. It's about a young woman who is trying to make it in. Like the operatic world. I think it's, Mozart in the jungle, but funny, I guess. Your move.
Okay, Soprano to me, it's like it's like a coming of age comedy about a young woman who a girl who's a soprano in the choir, and this kind of awkward boy who has this beautiful rich singing voice, but he's not like a confident or popular. And then the tagline is soprano, she's all about that bass.
That's very good. And the final one that I have for you is Pest. And I think this for me is a sci-fi thriller set in a space station where they have to hire someone who like they have essentially space bed bugs, right? And then it turns out it's something greater and kind of goes into Alien style where, you have a horror situation and everyone's trapped in. That's what I think Pest is.
Okay. This is I don't think this is a good movie, but it's an English language remake of Parasite, and but it ends with them being like instead of the way it ends. I
Yeah.
don't want to say that.
Yeah, yeah.
They become the rich family and assume their identities, and they're very
Hmm.
happy.
Yes, that makes sense. That would be the American version of that.
Hmm.
Well, I want to say thank you very much for coming on the program, as we
Thank you for having
say.
me.
Yeah, is there anything you want the 5 people listening to this or
Sure.
more to know?
Hey, remember, it is imperative that you don't have to watch a special. It's imperative that everybody listening watch a special on YouTube or Vimeo or Apple TV, wherever you go for things. Um, that's the big thing to plug. I have a book called Nice Try.
Hmm.
I'm gonna be on couple episodes of Wait Wait Don't Tell Me coming up. Jesus and Marrow, where I work,
Hmm.
returns in I believe September. But we're off for the summer.
Okay, that's all. I've listened to your book, by the way. It's very
Oh,
good,
thank
and I
you.
enjoyed it very much.
I
You did a
appreciate
good
that.
job narrating it as well.
Thank you.
So, thank you very much for being on,
My
and
pleasure.
talk to you soon.